For many of us, sitting in a room staring at a chalkboard full of equations feels like trying to decipher an alien transmission. That discomfort scales into adulthood as we struggle through the mathematical bureaucracy of tax forms, interest rates, and financial planning, where a single decimal error feels like a looming catastrophe. We tend to categorize these numbers alongside the English alphabet or the rules of a board game. We treat mathematics as a set of artificial cultural rules that we must laboriously force our brains to memorize. This perspective creates a rigid divide between those who believe they were born with a math brain and those who feel they were left behind. However, cognitive tests show that a 4-month-old human infant, someone who cannot speak or read, will show intense focus if an object is secretly removed. They recognize the changing quantity before they even know what a number is. Wild lions use the same logic to survive. They count the individual roars of arrival pride to gauge the level of threat. By comparing that tally to the size of their own group, they make a calculated decision to either stand their ground or retreat. If math is merely a human invention, we have to explain why it exists spontaneously in the minds of infants and the instincts of predators. Neurologists trace this ability to a specific region called the intraparietal sulcus, the brain's number module. When you see 3 objects, your brain uses a biological shortcut called numerosity, feeling the exact quantity without manually counting. This process happens regardless of your conscious effort. The moment your eyes land on a group of items, your brain automatically categorizes the amount. At this level, your brain perceives quantity the same way your visual cortex perceives a color. You aren't doing a task, your hardware is simply reporting a sensation. We can see how independent this system is by looking at medical case studies. This scan shows a brain where a lesion has severed the neural pathways used for language. The patient suffered from total aphasia. They lost the ability to speak, to read, and even to recognize the letters of the alphabet. Despite this total collapse of language and culture, the patient could still perform complex multi-digit multiplication with perfect accuracy. The circuitry used for mathematics is physically isolated from the networks used for human speech. Because the brain can perform arithmetic even when the capacity for language is destroyed, we can conclude that mathematical logic is a biological trait, not a cultural one. This number module evolved for rapid survival, calculating the size of a rival hunting party or judging which tree offers the most fruit. Eventually, humans began to create written symbols. We designed these numbers to map directly onto our ancient, pre-existing biological instincts. By linking these symbols to our biological hardware, we could scale our calculations, allowing us to engineer massive structures and complex cities. This synergy between biology and culture eventually allowed us to calculate the exact physics required to leave our planet. Modern mathematics functions as a cultural bridge, stretching our prehistoric biological hardware far beyond its original evolutionary limits. When you feel overwhelmed by a math problem, remember that your brain is already built to understand the underlying logic. Most of the struggle is simply a matter of translation, attempting to map your fluid biological instincts onto a rigid system of written symbols. This ancient system of logic is woven into your neural architecture. Mathematical perception is part of your biology. It belongs to you.